All right, well, here's a project update with the porch. Things have been a little bit slow lately. I had about a 5-week lapse in progress because of an injury, and I've recovered to the point where I can go back to work. So the project is going to restart. I had some family and some dear friends that came and helped me. They they finished putting the sheeting on the roof over here on the new part of the porch, and then they graciously stripped the garage roof shingles up here. As you can see, they replaced both sides of the garage across the existing porch here, and then covered the new porch there. So I was very thankful to have those folks that helped me out in my time of need. So, getting on with the project, now that I'm able to work again, I picked up on where I left off, or where I need to start. I moved the support posts back from the edge of the deck, or the edge of the porch. So those are back far enough to where I can go ahead and put in the new board along here, because that has to go in first before the posts are set. And then I got this beam up here, this part that connects from the house to the beam, that's wrapped. And then I have to pardon the sun here. I've got that wrapped up there. I got the sheeting put on there, and then I folded up a piece of aluminum to make a Z flashing up there. So then there'll be house wrap over the top of that that's going to come down to the crease right here so that the water will shed, and then it goes in front of the aluminum where I wrapped it on the beam. You see I put a hem right there. So there's just a nice little edge that's showing. It looks really good. I have to shout out to my good friend Floyd. He helped me out also. So I appreciate the friendship that we have, and that he allows me to use some of his equipment to do the jobs that I need to do without having to rent something. So thanks, Floyd. Got my little outlet put in here. That's going to be from a Christmas tree. Going to have a little fake Christmas tree that sits right here and lit up in the wintertime. Got new windows put in. Got the beam all exposed. It's ready to go. Got the siding stripped off of this wall right here. So I got to house wrap this, and then get my J channel up there. I got to put a filler strip. That little tiny gap right there between that 2x4 and the sheeting here, I have to fill that with a little slice of OSB, stuff that in there, and that way my J channel can have a place to sit. So we'll do that. And what else? Yeah. So just got a lot of things to do, and the thing that helps me is I make a list, and then I check one piece off of the list every time. And I always go back to my same saying: how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And this is an elephant, but we're going to take it one little project at a time. Today I'm going to concentrate on wrapping this beam and getting this board down here on the floor, ready for posts. Here's something else. As much as I dislike wearing hats, I got a hat on now. My favorite tractor is Kubota. But I had to have someplace to clip my lapel microphone. Although this would probably be called a bill microphone, because it's hooked onto the bill of my hat. Yeah. Anyway, hat time now. This plastic table was my friend Floyd's idea. I needed a way to work on this without getting it all scratched up. And I don't want to work on the floor because I can't bend my knee anymore. So this is a great idea that he gave me, to use this plastic table. That way it doesn't scratch the metal, and puts it right up here at a nice working height. So I'm going to cut across here. That'll cut my piece of beam wrap to the proper length. And then these marks here are where I'm going to bend it. So the 6 inches is going to go up the face of the beam that faces the outside. This is the 5 5/8 width of a 2x6. And then this is 10.5 inches that goes up on the inside of the beam, because it has to go way up high, all the way to the full depth of the beam, because that's going to be where the ceiling is attached. So I'll go ahead and cut this off, and then I'll trim down that length, and then we'll take it over to the sheet metal brake, which, by the way, is spelled B-R-A-K-E, not B-R-E-A-K. We'll bend it up and then take it back outdoors in the staging area. I can't put these up by myself because they're too big and too unwieldy, and you can't hold both ends up tight against the beam, pull out a nail, and put it in there, because it just doesn't work that way. Maybe what I'll do, here's an idea. Wonder if I could use my narrow crown stapler, turn the pressure down a little bit, and do some test pieces, and just put a couple staples in way up high. That way I can just go chunk without having to put a nail, hold a nail up there. And then, of course, when you, as soon as you drive it in, you start poking through the sheet metal, and then you take your fingers away so that you don't smash them, and then the nail goes pew. Don't ask me tell me how many times that's happened to me in the last day. So my buddy Floyd loaned me the slicer attachment that goes onto the sheet metal brake. And it's a slick little thing. It's got 2 rollers that intersect each other with a sharp edge. And it just shears this piece off. It's ideal for long cuts like this. So you can clamp it in the brake and just take that slicer thing and right down the thing and slice it off. But I don't have enough depth. The brake is only, I think you can only put 15 inches in it. Then this is long, this is 22 inches. So I can't put it in the brake and clamp it this way and then slice it off. And because this is such a narrow strip, I can't pinch on here. You have to have 1.5 inches from here to the fingers on the brake. And I would only be clamping on just about 1/8 of an inch. So the slicer attachment is not going to work for this application. I used it yesterday when I did the Z channel, because I only needed a piece that was, 6 inches wide or whatever, 8 inches, 9 inches wide. So I was able to clamp that 9-inch wide portion in the brake and then run the slicer down through there and cut off just my 9-inch piece. That works good. Man, it saves so much time over snips like this. But oh well, if I was a professional, I'd probably have one of those Milwaukee shear things that looks like a drill, and you run it down through there and it curls off the little strip. But oh well, I'm just a guy trying to make it big on YouTube. So till I get enough subscribers, hint hint, won't be making any money off that. So we'll have to do it the old-fashioned way, and you can suffer through this right along with me. So maybe that's how I could word this. Maybe if I phrase it that way, to where you have to suffer through watching me do this tedious manual labor, or you could subscribe, and then I could start making some money. I could buy these tools that make the job go faster, and then you would have something more entertaining to watch. Just a thought. Now you're asking me, why did you just slide this across? Or you're going to scratch that all up? This is the inside. I really don't care about it, so I can throw stuff on here, do whatever I want. It's the bottom part. The underside is the good part. So I've already made my marks on each end. So on this first bend, the 6-inch one, I'm going to place that pencil mark right on the finger. That's pretty good. Pull the clamp down, so now that piece is clamped in place. I'm going to fold it up. I'm going to overbend it just slightly. That way it kind of looks like this. That way it fits tight to the beam. If I overbend it, now it's going to be bulging and it's going to be ugly when it goes on there. Ooh, got a scratch right there. Oh well. What did I say before? Don't let perfect stand in the way of good. I can deal with that. That'll be all right. Besides, it's going to get all dirty and ugly, and I'm going to drive nails into it and put hanging baskets on there and all that sort of fun stuff. So this piece I made, for 8-foot coverage on the beam. I made this piece 98 inches long. That way there'll be 2 inches overlap onto the previous piece. So what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to be at my line down here, and then on the other end I'm going to go just inside the line, so it's a little bit narrower here. That way the one piece will fit into the other like that. Just a little bit narrower on the one end than the other by thickness of the metal, which is perfect. Okay, so we're all set right there. And then I'll show you. Take a piece of scrap wood. Never throw away your scraps until the job is done. I mean, unless they're little bitty pieces, you can throw them away. So this is just a little bit bigger than the width of this 2x6. And the reason I did that is because, as you and I both know, these are not exactly, 5 3/8 wide. They could be anywhere from 5 3/8 to 5 5/8. So when I built the beam, I tried to select all the 2x6s for the bottom that were the same width. I didn't just willy-nilly go grab some off the pile and start building my stuff. I selected the exact same width boards for that bottom piece, and then I matched the sides to the bottom board so that I have the most perfect, as humanly possible, shaped beam to do the job. All right, now we're going to bend this one. This is going to hit this handle, and I think that on most of these brakes there'll be a pin here. You could take this out, but we're just going to kind of pick that up a little bit. There you go. So this is actually the outside of the house, or the outside of the porch. This is the inside. It's turned around right now. So then the soffit material is going to come up to here. And then the porch ceiling is going to come up to here. So today I'm going to be installing the vinyl posts that support the beam for my front porch. These are a product called the PermaPost. They're made by HG&B Building Products Company. And they give you some really lousy directions to put these things up. They say support the beam, which I'm supporting it. And then they have these brackets. You see this little bracket? And you notice that there's 1/4 of an inch from here to here. So the instructions say to measure the distance between here and here, the beam, measure that distance, subtract 1/16 of an inch from that measurement, and cut the post. And then it says simply attach one of these to the bottom and one of these to the top. Place the bottom of the post on here and just slide it right in. Just like that. But the way I see it, I'm not the greatest math scholar of all in the world, but the way I see it is if you measure the distance from here to here, and let's say it's 90 inches. So you subtract 1/16 of an inch from that, that's 89 15/16. But this is 1/4 inch from here to here. And it's also 1/4 inch from the beam down here. So let's just say, for instance, that when you put this post down in here, that it sits right tight, flush with the bottom. That still means that there's 3/16 of an inch of this lip that's going to stick down beyond my cut line. So how do I get that in there without literally jacking this roof up almost 1/4 of an inch? Hope and pray that it does slide in, and then let it down and hope and pray once again that the beam settles back down where it should be, and now the post is tight. And then when you come down here 6 feet to do the next one, what happens there? Because this is a good strong beam. And if I pick up on it right here, it will lift to some degree down there. It won't lift up equally, but it will lift up some. So if this thing is just all it's holding in there is these little lips. So what if I have to lift it up so far to get this post in that this post falls out? And then it leans up against my brand new window there and breaks it. Plus it's windy out here. I have to move this over here out of the wind. So what I've done is I've marked the post down here from the end. You have to cut this part off, both ends. So I'm going to cut this off of this end, and then I'm going to cut it to length. I did my measurement, and it's 90 inches down there. There's 2 posts that are only about 3 or 4 feet apart. So those are going to be, I'm going to make those the same and just put them in there. So what I ended up having to do is, because you can't use this bracket on the top and the bottom, I bought some stainless steel brackets from Amazon that are 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. And there's 6 holes in the bracket. And what I'm going to do, or what I have done, is I've put the bottom into here using stainless steel screws down here, which I got on Amazon. They're 1.25 inch number 8 flathead screws, and they're pretty cheap. Actually, I was surprised how cheap they were. Probably made in China. Anyway, I got those brackets, and then I'm simply going to screw them into the bottom of the beam on each side of the post at the top. That way, when I lift up the next one, even if this one raises up, it's not going to tip over and break my brand new window. So I think that should work out okay. So we're going to go ahead. I've got my Evolution saw here that can cut metal, and that it's actually made for metal. It works great on that. I'm going to go ahead and cut these posts here, flip them around, and then I'm going to cut them to length. We'll go ahead and put them in down there. I'm going to use my happy little deburring tool here. Knock that burr off. This is the same one you use for doing PVC pipe. But just to give you an idea what this looks like. So now, this little bracket, got a little dimple there, supposed to sit into that pipe, and then these teeth just bite into the foam in the post. So basically you have a vinyl wrap, a vinyl injected molded wrap on the outside with a piece of pipe in the middle, and then they put foam around it. That's how you make the post. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about right there. Good thing I put my plywood up there, or I'd be buying me a brand new window for another $1,700. Tell you what, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna put this in place. Like right there. I'm gonna lower this down. Then I'm gonna raise it back up because I missed the spot on the bottom. Pain in the neck. Oh my gosh. There we go. Now we're in place. Let it down a little bit, get some weight on there. Then I'm going to take a hammer and a block of wood and just give it a little love tap. Let's see if I can find my hammer. Oh, it's way down here. Perfect. That's perfect. That's right on the money right there. Excelente. So now what I'll do, I'll go ahead and put those brackets in place. See if I can find my drill bit. There it is. And a pencil, which is probably down at the other end, because Don't want to have too many items close at hand. Here's a pencil. Oh, sweet! Yeah! Let's drop all the screws on the floor. Oh. Let's see. Maybe if I do this right, I can drop them again. Hey, there goes one. What else can I drop? Maybe the drill? I don't know. I guess we'll see. Once we get these brackets up in here, so that's kind of ugly. It's not just kind of ugly, it's really ugly, I think. So what we're thinking about is getting some vinyl Victorian corbels that come up here like this and have the little spindles like that, and do that on all the posts, each side of all the posts. And then I'll do is I'll machine the vinyl out on the corbel so it can cover up these brackets, and you'll never know they're there. But I'll know they're there. So needless to say, the instructions for the HG&B vinyl colonial porch posts are terrible. The instructions are terrible. They don't work. And therefore, if it was me, I would not follow them because they are lousy. And the funny part about it is there's no videos from the manufacturer on how to do this. They have other products that they do videos on. They have some columns. Those have videos, but not this. And these screws that go in here essentially do absolutely nothing because there's nothing there other than this plastic. This is probably 3/32 of an inch thick. So all these do is basically just keep the post from falling over. That's it. That's all there is to it. So I just fabricated a fixture here that I can use to cut the perforated soffit material into the right length pieces that I need for my 12-inch overhang. So let's get to it. Cut some soffit. I'm going to cut up 2 pieces here, and then we'll call it good. The rest of them, that way I can know exactly how many more pieces I need to cut so I don't waste any of my material. And hopefully I'll have one of them to take back, because these little beauties are they're $26 a pop at today's value. So yeah.